I'll go back to this window. Okay. So hello everyone. We are starting this live session. Please start posting your questions in the chat box. Thank you. Hi everyone. Hi. Good afternoon. So there's a question, will the questions be MCQ only? Yes, they will be online auto-gradable, just like the assignments. So how many questions will be included in the exam? I mean, I'm not sure if I can reveal all of this, but they will be MCQ questions and there will be more than enough time for you during the exam to answer the questions. So they will be auto gradable like how you had your assignments, and of a similar difficulty level, and more than enough time given the time window for the exam. Okay, any other questions? Please post them in the chat. When will the admit card be released? I'm sorry, I think you should send a mail to the nptel.iitm address. Those who are handling the logistics. I am not involved with the logistics of the exam. So I don't think this live session is meant to debug these issues of the admit cards. So please email the NPTEL office or post on the forum, and we will redirect you to the NPTEL team that's looking at the logistics of the exam. So folks, if there are no doubts, we can close the chat session soon. So we'll wrap up soon if there are no further doubts. So the question here, for consensus protocols for strong consistency, is our assumption that all nodes are in synchronous environment or asynchronous environment? So there are different consensus protocols that deal with different assumptions. In this course we've of course not covered the entire range of consensus protocols, right? We've only looked at a very high level overview of the raft consensus protocol. In raft there is no assumption of a synchronous communication. You send a message to a node and sometimes a response comes back immediately, sometimes after some delay and so on. So there is no synchronous assumption. But there are many other different consensus protocols that make different kinds of assumptions. If you make a synchronous assumption, your protocol will be simpler as opposed to an asynchronous assumption and so on. Right? So there is no one correct answer for this. There are many consensus protocols out there which make different kinds of assumptions. Okay, I hope that's answered your question. If the environment is asynchronous, then we have to send the response back to the client and run the protocol later for consensus. No. So that is not what it means by synchronous and asynchronous environment. Synchronous communication is not just, of course, with the client, between the client and the the replication servers or amongst the replication servers also. A synchronous communication means that you send a response and immediately you will get a response back, right? Within some fixed delay you wait for the response, whereas asynchronous is you send a response and with some delay it may not immediately respond back to you, right? So that was what my understanding of your question, asynchronous and synchronous, was. But in general, if a client sends you a request, of course you will send back a response. You will not run the consensus protocol later. If a client sends a request to say store something, you will replicate it. Only when the replication finishes, you will send a response back. In that sense, yes, it is synchronous. But the communications themselves, each link in this, multiple people have to talk to each other. Each link need not be exactly synchronous. You don't send a request and immediately get a response. There might be some delay, right? So that is so the word synchronous and asynchronous mean different things. So maybe I hope what I've said now has answered your query. In general, when a client sends a request, yes, you will finish the replication and only then send a response back, right? Otherwise, you might not end up, you might send a response even when replication is not done, and you might lose state, which is not advisable. Okay. Any more questions, guys? So which courses will you be offering in the next term? Do you mean on NPTEL? I have no plans for the next term for anything on NPTEL. Okay, so Murli Krishna, I hope that's what you're asking. There might be a few things put up online on my webpage, but on NPTEL itself, there is no immediate plan for next term as such. And the next question is, how should you prepare for the exam with so many minute details and different definitions and numericals? See, first of all, there are not a whole lot of numericals, right? So the only numericals are really in the memory management, the page table part of it. So yes, there are a lot of concepts in the course, but if you would have studied the course regularly throughout and done the assignments, the exam questions will be very similar to the assignment questions, and of similar difficulty or slight variants of the assignment questions itself. So there won't be, I'm not expecting something very, very drastically different. So of course there are a lot of different concepts, but I hope all of the concepts are fairly intuitive and easy to understand. So it should suffice if you can review through all your, all the slides before the exam. I think that should be enough. So the next question, does that mean we have to have all the replicated nodes probably in the same geographical region so that we can create a synchronous environment among them? So this is what is the Cap Theorem, right? So there is consistency, there is availability, and there is P stands for partition tolerance. So if you want strong consistency, then you should either give up availability or you should give up partition tolerance. So if you want consistency and you also want your service, your client to be able to contact the server all the time, if you want consistency and availability, you will not have partition tolerance. That is, you have to assume that all your servers are in the same region. They are not, the network is not divided, the network is stable enough that they can all contact each other. So yes, that is what you mean by synchronous environment. Yes. So that is the Cap theorem. That's there in one of the lectures, that you will only have any two of these three. So you're saying you want strong consistency and you want response back to the client immediately, then yes, your network cannot be partitioned. All the nodes should be in the same geographical region or connected by a very reliable network such that they can always reach each other. If you don't have such a network and you want strong consistency, then you will not have availability. That is, your system will go down sometimes. Okay, so that is the summary of the Cap theorem. Okay, so I don't know who the student with the username MotoG is, but I hope that has answered your question. So the next question from Ravi Lochan is, design and engineering of computer systems means only software? Yes, I mean, I hope you've done the course, and I didn't cover any hardware, so I'm assuming yes, it means a software system only. Yes. Okay, any more questions? So we will wrap up in a few minutes if there are no further questions. So can we conclude based on the FLP impossibility theorem that all nodes should be in synchronous environment so as to provide safety and liveness together? So I don't know what is the FLP impossibility theorem, but if it is something similar to the Cap theorem, yes, it sounds like what you're saying is true. Okay, then thank you all. So we will wrap up this session in a couple of minutes if there are no further doubts. Thank you. So there won't be any other live sessions, I don't think so, because the exam is coming up in a week and the course is almost done. So if you have any further questions, please use the discussion forum and I will get back to you there.